Picture this small-town America, Derry, New Hampshire, back in 1990.
Quaint.
Yeah, quaint.
Ugh.
The kind of place where life just seemed to move a little slower. Neighbors knew each other. Secrets were hard to keep.
Right.
But even in a town like Derry,
Oh.
darkness could find its way in.
Absolutely.
This is the story of a young couple, Pamela and Gregg Smart, whose seemingly perfect life was shattered by a brutal act, leaving behind a trail of questions and betrayal, and a mystery that continues to captivate and intrigue.
A case that explores the dark side of ambition and the devastating consequences when love and deceit collide.
Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Crime series.
Yes.
Our deep dive today takes us back to this chilling case that shocked the nation. Pamela Smart, a charismatic media coordinator at the local high school,
Right.
and her husband Greg, a promising young sales representative. They seem to have it all: youth ambition, a future filled with possibilities.
Their lives together seemed idyllic, from the outside at least. But like we often see in these cases, appearances can be deceiving.
Yeah.
Beneath the surface cracks in their seemingly perfect facade.
It all began to unravel on May 1st, 1990, when Gregg Smart was found murdered in their home. Shot execution style.
Brutal.
Yeah, the brutality of the crime just sent shockwaves through the community, shattering the peace of Derry forever. Initially, it appeared to be a random act of violence, a robbery gone wrong.
Right.
But as investigators began to dig deeper, they uncovered a web of secrets, lies, and a twisted plot that would implicate those closest to Greg,
Including his own wife.
including his wife Pamela.
Pamela.
The investigation quickly took a dramatic turn when inconsistencies emerged in the crime scene, raising red flags for seasoned detectives.
Oh, yeah. The staging of the robbery seemed too perfect,
Right.
too deliberate. And Pamela's behavior, her seemingly detached demeanor in the aftermath of her husband's death, raised suspicions.
Yeah, instead of the raw grief that one might expect from a woman who had just lost her husband, Pamela seemed composed, even calculating, as she navigated the complexities of insurance policies and funeral arrangements. Her lack of emotional display didn't sit well with those who knew her. And it certainly didn't go unnoticed by investigators who were now starting to piece together a very different narrative.
The discovery of Pamela's affair with a 15-year-old student at the high school where she worked, Billy Flynn, added fuel to the fire of suspicion. The power dynamics of this relationship, the age gap,
Yeah.
the inherent vulnerability of a young teenager entangled with an older woman in a position of authority. It raised serious questions about coercion and manipulation.
This wasn't just a simple love affair. This was a relationship fraught with complexities, secrets, and a dangerous undercurrent of control. Investigators began to suspect that Pamela's influence over Billy might extend far beyond the realm of a forbidden romance.
Imagine the psychological impact this relationship must have had on a young, impressionable teenager like Billy. The attention, the allure of a forbidden romance with an older woman, the sense of being special and chosen, all likely played a role in his susceptibility to manipulation.
And manipulate him she did. According to the prosecution's case, Pamela cunningly used Billy's infatuation to her advantage, weaving a narrative in which Greg's death was the only obstacle standing between them and a future together. She allegedly painted a picture of a life free from the constraints of her marriage, a life where she and Billy could finally be together without judgment or consequence.
Chilling to think about the level of manipulation that may have been involved. To convince a teenager that murder was the only solution. To exploit his vulnerabilities and twist his affections into a deadly weapon. It's a truly disturbing thought. And as the investigation unfolded, the pieces of this twisted puzzle began to fall into place.
Billy Flynn, along with two of his friends, Patrick Randall and Vance Latime Jr., were arrested. Under intense questioning, one of them cracked, confessing to their involvement in Greg's murder. They described a plan orchestrated by Pamela, a chilling plot that involved breaking into the Smarts' home and executing Greg while making it look like a robbery gone wrong.
The confessions were damning, offering a glimpse into the dark underbelly of this seemingly idyllic town. They detailed how Pamela had provided them with a map of the house instructions on how to disarm the alarm, and even a .38 caliber handgun, the very weapon used to end Greg's life.
But the most damning piece of evidence, the one that would ultimately seal Pamela's fate, came from an unexpected source. A co-worker and confidant named Cecilia Pierce.
Cecilia, concerned by Pamela's behavior and the whispers surrounding her involvement in Greg's death, agreed to cooperate with investigators. She agreed to wear a wire secretly recording her conversations with Pamela, hoping to capture any incriminating statements that might shed light on the truth.
And capture she did. The recordings played in court sent chills down the spines of those present. In these tapes, Pamela can be heard discussing the murder, expressing her relief at Greg's death, and even coaching Cecilia on how to lie to the police.
The content of those tapes was explosive, revealing a level of calculation and cold-heartedness that shocked the nation. It was the smoking gun the prosecution needed, painting a picture of Pamela as a manipulative mastermind who had orchestrated her husband's murder to escape a marriage she no longer desired and secure a future with her teenage lover.
The trial of Pamela Smart, broadcast gavel to gavel on television, became a national sensation, captivating and horrifying viewers in equal measure.
It was a trial filled with drama, intrigue, and a cast of characters that seemed ripped from the pages of a true crime novel. And at the center of it all was Pamela Smart, the beautiful, enigmatic woman accused of manipulating a teenager into committing the ultimate act of betrayal.
The prosecution presented a compelling case, weaving together a narrative of manipulation, deceit, and cold-blooded murder. They painted a picture of a woman driven by ambition, a woman who saw her husband as an obstacle to her desires, a woman who was willing to do whatever it took to get what she wanted.
But the defense fought back, attempting to portray Pamela as a victim of circumstance, a woman caught in a web of lies spun by a lovesick teenager. They argued that Billy Flynn, obsessed with Pamela and consumed by jealousy, had acted on his own accord, driven by a desperate desire to eliminate his rival and win Pamela's affections. They painted Billy as a troubled youth, prone to impulsivity and easily swayed by Pamela's charm and attention.
Right.
The defense argued that Pamela, while perhaps guilty of engaging in an inappropriate relationship, was not a murderer. They urged the jury to see her as a victim of Billy's obsession, a woman manipulated and betrayed by the very person she had sought solace in.
It was a classic case of he said, she said, with both sides presenting compelling narratives that left the jury with a difficult task: to sift through the layers of deceit, weigh the evidence, and ultimately decide the fate of Pamela Smart.
The trial became a media frenzy, a spectacle that captivated the nation. Cameras swarmed, the courthouse reporters hung on every word, and the public was glued to their television screens, eager to witness the unfolding drama. It was a time when 24-hour news channels were still relatively new, and the Pamela Smart trial became a staple of their programming, fueling the public's fascination with true crime.
Yeah, and with that constant media attention came the potential for bias. The risk that the court of public opinion might sway the actual court proceedings.
Right.
The line between news and entertainment blurred, and Pamela Smart's face, often captured in a stoic, almost defiant expression, became a symbol of this sensationalized case.
It's hard to overstate the impact of that media coverage. The trial unfolded not just within the confines of the courtroom, but also in the living rooms of millions of Americans.
Yeah.
Every twist and turn, every piece of evidence, every emotional outburst was analyzed and dissected by commentators, legal experts, and armchair detectives alike.
The constant media scrutiny raised serious questions about the fairness of the trial. Could the jurors truly remain impartial amidst such a relentless media storm? Could they separate the facts of the case from the narratives being spun in the media?
These are questions that legal scholars and media critics continue to debate even today. The Pamela Smart trial became a touchstone for discussions about the role of media in high-profile cases and the potential for sensationalized coverage to influence the outcome of justice.
And beyond the legal implications, the case sparked broader societal conversations about the dynamics of power and manipulation in relationships, particularly those with significant age gaps.
The affair between Pamela Smart and Billy Flynn became a lightning rod for discussions about consent coercion and the responsibilities of adults in positions of authority.
Right.
It challenged societal norms and forced people to confront uncomfortable truths about the potential for abuse within seemingly consensual relationships.
The case resonated with those concerned about the vulnerabilities of young people, particularly those susceptible to the influence of older, charismatic figures.
Yeah.
It raised questions about how to protect teenagers from predatory behavior and educate them about the potential dangers of romantic entanglements with authority figures.
The Pamela Smart case forced society to grapple with uncomfortable questions about the nature of power manipulation and the complexities of human relationships.
Yeah. It highlighted the fact that even in seemingly idyllic communities, darkness can lurk beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to erupt and shatter the facade of normalcy.
And as the trial progressed, the jury was tasked with navigating these complex issues, weighing the evidence, and ultimately deciding the fate of Pamela Smart. They had to determine whether she was a manipulative mastermind who orchestrated her husband's murder or a victim of circumstance caught in a web of lies spun by a troubled teenager.
The jury deliberated for days carefully, considering the testimony, the evidence, and the arguments presented by both sides.
Right.
They wrestled with the conflicting narratives, the emotional pleas, and the weight of responsibility that rested on their shoulders.
And finally, they reached a verdict. After days of deliberation and intense media scrutiny, the jury found Pamela Smart guilty.
Guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and witness tampering.
Wow. The courtroom erupted. Gasps and murmurs filled the air as the verdict was read. It was a decision that would send shockwaves across the nation, solidifying Pamela Smart's place in true crime history. The judge sentenced Pamela to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Wow.
A stark contrast to the sentences received by Billy Flynn and his accomplices. In exchange for their testimony, they were granted reduced sentences, fueling the debate about the fairness of the justice system.
It was a sentence that underscored the gravity of Pamela's alleged crimes and the belief that she was the driving force behind this tragic act. Billy, who fired the fatal shot, ended up serving nearly 25 years before being paroled in 2015.
Patrick and Vance also received lighter sentences due to their cooperation. This disparity in sentencing further ignited public discourse, raising questions about the complexities of justice and the weight given to different roles within a crime.
The Pamela Smart case wasn't just about a murder. It was a story that resonated on multiple levels. It delved into the dark side of human nature, the allure of forbidden love, and the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition.
It forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about manipulation, betrayal, and the power of perception. It challenged our assumptions about guilt and innocence, and left us grappling with the complexities of a case where the lines between truth and deceit were blurred beyond recognition.
Even today, decades later, Pamela maintains her innocence from her prison cell. She has filed numerous appeals, all of which have been denied, but her unwavering insistence on her innocence continues to fuel speculation and debate.
And that's the heart of this case, isn't it? It's a story that lingers in our minds because it offers no easy answers.
Right.
It challenges us to examine the evidence, weigh the competing narratives, and ultimately come to our own conclusions about the truth.
Was Pamela Smart a manipulative mastermind who preyed on a vulnerable teenager, using him as a pawn in her deadly game? Or was she, as she claims, a victim of circumstance, wrongly convicted and forever branded by a media frenzy that painted her as a cold-hearted killer?
These are questions that continue to fascinate and haunt us. The Pamela Smart case is a story that transcends the boundaries of time and place. It serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of trust, the complexities of human relationships, and the enduring power of perception.
It's a story that compels us to look beyond the surface, to question our assumptions, and to acknowledge the darkness that can reside even in the most seemingly ordinary of hearts.
The Pamela Smart case may be confined to the annals of legal history, but the questions it raises, the themes it explores, remain as relevant as ever.
Yeah.
They serve as a stark reminder that even in the quietest of towns, the most shocking of crimes can occur, shattering lives and leaving behind a legacy of pain and uncertainty.
And so we reach the end of our deep dive into the Pamela Smart case. We've explored the twists and turns, the conflicting narratives, and the enduring legacy of this captivating and disturbing story.
We've delved into the psychological complexities of manipulation, the influence of media on the justice system, and the challenges of discerning truth amidst a sea of conflicting perspectives.
We encourage you to continue exploring this case, to examine the evidence, the arguments, and the various interpretations that have emerged over the years.
Form your own conclusions, grapple with the complexities, and remember the human toll behind the headlines. This is a story about real people whose lives were irrevocably altered by the events that unfolded in Derry, New Hampshire back in 1990.
Don't forget to follow CrimePod Castle for more deep dives into the world of twisted crimes.
And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and more. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, stay vigilant.